Attention passengers. This is your co-pilot speaking. Your pilot is black mind, so you are not going blind and there is no power failure. You are merely experiencing the immense blackness of his proximity, and when you hear his voice, you and the cabin will get even darker than you are currently. We will be cruising at the speed equal to light, because the one other thing that travels equally fast is darkness. Your loved ones awaiting your arrival may not recognize you at first sight. This is normal. Simply tell them about the pilot, and they will understand. We will taxi to the runway now, so please buckle up and prepare for a high-speed departure. Thank you for choosing Jet Black Airways, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. We hope you keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Justice forever.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. One of the reasons that I stated that long distance relationships are a game is because, frankly, when you're dealing with women in general, most of you guys, as I stated before, are not particularly mean, and you're not the most generous and giving either. Most of you are going to be somewhere in the middle. And I have pointed out how in a toxic environment, being normal is seen as lame and weak by toxic women. Women tend to look for guys that they think are the most adapted to survive their environments. Unfortunately, a lot of toxic environments in the United States require, and in the West in general, require stealth in order to survive. Women's perception is not that of stealth. Women themselves may utilize stealth, and they do, but they don't perceive stealth as a manly trait. So if you're the guy who has his head low, and these are guys that exist in every environment. If you're the guy that doesn't cause a lot of trouble, but you got your head low, people don't mess with you and you don't mess with people, that's good, that's fine. But see, it oftentimes takes non-Western women. Sometimes, if it's a Western woman, it takes a Western white woman. Or a Western woman whose parents were not from the West, to sit and look and see that this guy here is a safe bet. Not because he's weak, but because he doesn't start stuff. So his stealth, his lack of attraction of attention is one of his means of defense. Some women can actually appreciate a safe environment as part of their protection, as the major means of their protection. Unfortunately, Western women, especially Western low-class white women and Western sisters of all classes, have been trained to not appreciate that. They've been trained to view that as a man compensating for being soft. And they don't notice a guy that's not soft, but just doesn't have his nose into a lot of stuff. That they've been trained to not see, not notice. Because when you start talking about street stories, these are the guys whose names don't come up. They're not involved in oppressing anybody else, and they're not involved in being oppressed. They're not involved in the robbery because they're not robbing, nor are they being robbed. Neither of these things. Sisters completely gloss over these guys. Maybe if one of them is exceptionally cute, and sisters noticed him visually, some of them might sleep with that dude, not really demand that he be much of a thug in the streets. But the reason why I mention that long distance relationships are a game is because most of you, because of your normality, you're already being selected to be played. It's not your fault. It's not something you're doing wrong. It's something that they want to do because they can. Because they're trained to, because of the toxicity. I want to give a thanks to the other side. You said that I understand female nature like a science, and I appreciate that. But the truth is I don't fully understand it. I'm still astounded by certain things that I'm learning. What I do understand are many of the games. And I'm only just beginning to understand a lot of these games. You see, my most pessimistic thoughts when I was younger were not sensical. They were irrational, but they were true. However, nowadays the women are proving them to be true because they're telling on themselves, they're showing how they are, and multiple men can watch these interactions and see. No, they're unreasonable. No, they're just downright evil in some of the things that they're doing, and a lot of what they're asking. No, this is inexcusable. She just switched up on that man and moved the goalpost. That's what what we're now being able to see. So what I understand is that anything that is convenient for them, or even inconvenient for them, but it's also inconvenient for you, is damn near a game for them. Now, if it's something that they didn't do, then it's not one of their games. But if it is something that, like for instance, being laid off and having to face financial difficulty, that's not them. It's no woman's fault that I face that now. There's not a woman to blame for this. It's not any of their games. By the same token, if it is something that is inconvenient for you and they have something to do with it, it's a game. Gentlemen, if your wife won't screw you, that's a game. Crimson Cure talked about that. If your girlfriend won't screw you, but she's not a virgin and she's not against fornication, that's a damn game. Now, if she's against fornication, that's not personal. That's different. If your girlfriend believes in waiting until marriage, hopefully you would too. And that's not a game. That's not, as long as it's not personal. But let's say she believes in that, but she's still ready to screw somebody. If the right dude comes along, just not you, then that's a game. Then even her chastity is a game. Chastity is to be consistent, no exceptions. And if you slip up, you don't tell anybody. This is not something that they're aware of. They're not thinking about this per se, but they're always coming up with games. They're playing games on themselves, so they're playing with you. So when you find that you attract long distance relationships easily, the reason for that is because they're playing games. They're looking at what they want, and they're looking at what you want. Do they want a long distance relationship? Not by default. That's not their go-to normally. So when you find that once you're out of town, you're really attractive to these broads, but when you're in town, they don't notice you, then all that means is they do see something in you that's valuable, whether you're attractive or whether it's something else. There's something in you that's valuable, but they don't want to actually be seen with you in public by people they know. And one of the ways to know if it's that you are attractive at all is that you have to see how willing they are to see you when you go see them. You got to see how willing they are to go to where you live. How'd y'all meet? After that, how willing is she to go to your city? Or how willing are you to go to her city? Not really how willing you are to go to her city, but how willing she will be to see you if you were in her city. You call her up, you say, listen, stay in town. I'm going to have a surprise delivered to the address that you want. When the delivery man calls me, I'm going to call you, I'm going to tell you he's on the way, and I'm going to give him whatever address you wanted to go to. Okay, then you call her up. And you say, listen, I'm going to be in town in 2 hours. You just tell me what address you want me to meet you at. But don't be late. Whatever time you say, be there on time. If she plays games, she plays ball, then at the very least, you're attractive to her. Now, the other thing is, you see how willing she is to go to where you live. If they're not willing to really see you, then I don't know what it is. But if they're willing to see you, then at least they think you're attractive. They just don't want to be seen out in public with you. And that means either they got somebody else, and for whatever reason, they just think it's funny and cool to two-time, or the other possibility is that they like you, but there's something about you that embarrasses them. Or maybe they have a friend that's been shaming them for something that they like, and you have it. I mean, I mentioned what it was in my case, and it took me years to find out. I didn't know growing up that I had to deal with all these extra barriers and walls and everything else because of my phenotype. I've been told that was an unfair advantage that I had, and was dumb enough to think it might have actually been. And then come to find out that it was an unfair disadvantage the whole time. No matter how they actually felt about it when they saw it, the only unfair thing that it was a disadvantage. And here I was, about to turn 25 when I finally found out. 24 years old, gonna turn 25 before I heard anything. So I had to see it for what it was. Long distance relationships, and I did attract them. I attracted them all the time. Always. They followed me around like a curse. All the way up until this marriage right here. When I finally married the first time, even then eventually, the most peace I had was when I had a job away from Atlanta. And then when I got the job here in Saudi Arabia, the most peace I ever had during my first marriage, living away from her. Imagine that. Long distance relationships are a game, gentlemen, because most of what they do is a game. Stop and think about just think about what it is that you want from them. Above and below the belt, of course. Stop and think about that. How difficult is that for them, really? Then why do they never come forward with it? It's because all of it is a game. The long distance relationships that many of us seem to so easily attract is just a part of it. That's all. They're easy to attract for some of us only because they simply would not want a same city relationship, because as far as they're concerned, that would be too easy for us. And they only get points for being difficult. Remember that. They do not get points for being easy unless somebody is really, really, really loaded. They cannot brag about this at the hair salon. They cannot brag about this in the kitchen with all the other hens clucking. They can't brag about this on the phone with the girls. They can only brag about being too easy for the guys for whom they should not have been available in the first place. And celebrities. And even then, you tried to listen to one of them trying to justify cheating with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Even then, let's say a woman cheated with Neil deGrasse Tyson, the physicist. Okay? Is she going to brag to her friends about with whom she cheated? Or is she going to brag about just the fact that she cheated? She will brag about having cheated, but not with whom. Now, let's say she cheated, but she cheated with the baby. She's going to brag about with whom she cheated. Do you see the difference? Simply put, it seems like I'm understanding their nature because I'm coming to, as time goes on, I'm more so and more so using evil as their motive. And that's why it seems like I understand their nature. If it seems like that to me, it's only because of that. It's not really their nature. I don't think human beings are born excessively good or evil by nature. We're lazy, we're selfish, but we're also compassionate and cooperative. We just want to have a lot of things without working hard for it, that's all. And usually we will control one or the other of those instincts to reconcile with the other or the one. What I find in their case is that in the West, evil is the motive. Your suffering, your inconvenience is the motive, and they don't know why. Even they don't understand fully why themselves. By the time they do come to understand it, they can't undo it. But by understanding that evil is the motive, I'm able to explain a lot. And even then, I don't fully understand the nature as much as I just understand in the West what the motive is. More to come later. Thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, blackout. Assalamu alaikum. And black heterosexual non-select male power just because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. You may now unbuckle your seats and move about the cabin. Shortly after that, prepare for arrival.